But first, at the top of the show, we have another very special guest, Sean Leahy. Are you here?
Hi, everyone. Good to be here tonight. Welcome to the celebration of Scooby Snacks as the LCS Hockey Fantasy Football Champion. Now, before we get into the 3-hour discussion about some random 1980s F-level movie that's been seen by fewer people than will appear on this podcast every week, it's time to celebrate Scooby Snacks by pissing all over Mike Dell. Not literally, of course, although none of us know exactly what 1-9 enjoys down in that basement of his. But if you weren't aware, my team beat Mike Dell in the Fantasy Football League Championship this past weekend with a dominant 31-point victory. Was never in doubt. Scooby Snacks, we started 4-0, then went to 7-1. Then we lost 4 out of 5 games to let everyone else, catch up and get some hope in their hearts. We got a first round bye. Then we dispatched cousin Brandon by 53 points because Brandon, as we can probably assume, was drunkenly passed out on the couch somewhere. Then the final, obviously, we taught Mike Dell, who talks trash about as good as he manages fantasy teams.
How dare
Do you know how many fucking monkey gifts I've received in the last month from him? But 1-9's team was no match, even as Dell continued the trash talk, and it was never ending. My God. You'd think he was some wise decision maker with the way he talks about fantasy football. This guy has over 8,000 tweets since 2020. That's almost as many moves as he makes in fantasy football each week, and look how that turned out. He's either, commenting on that night's Penguins game, retweeting Ask a Stank Bank material,
That's right.
or showing off another hockey ball he broke with his unusually strong forearms, which he probably got from editing. And when I say editing, I'm throwing up really heavy air quotes. But speaking of unsuccessful, he makes more moves in fantasy than he does with a woman. I mean, I should specify, a woman not made out of cardboard. But while we're on the topic of Twitter, how many usernames has this guy had? You can post hate speech, nudity, all sorts of bat crazy shit on that site now. Yet Mike Dell managed to get consistently suspended. It's truly a feat. In fact, he's had more usernames this past decade than he has miles on his car. But this guy calls his team Cham, half of champion. Now, sure, he's won twice since I've been in this league, at least through my brief research, but not since 2017. So that means he's won a fantasy league more recently than getting laid. Now that's something to put on a Tinder profile. It's been so long since Mike Dell last won in fantasy. Larry was still doing monologues. The Ed's Baby Fighting League was going strong, and Jim Iovino was probably still on the show, really quiet in the background like usual. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to use too much of your time here. I know there's some enthralling WWE Champions talk to get to. Maybe that creep Tom Buck too will chime in and cry about what misfortune befell his team, like he's done. It's been 5 minutes the last time he did that. But in conclusion, Cham was a sham. Scooby Snacks are your fantasy football champions. Hello, Tuffy and Jank. Keep carrying the show like you've been doing. I love you, Larry. Everybody have a happy New Year and a good night.
All right.
Happy New Year, Leahy.
And he just hung up.